All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive on something that's been making a lot of noise in the tech world, and that's this new AI tool from OpenAI. They're calling it Operator.
And it's pretty interesting. A lot of buzz, yeah.
Yeah, in just a few minutes, hopefully you'll have a pretty good understanding of what Operator is all about and why everyone's so excited about it, and maybe even a few things to be cautious about as well.
Well, and I think one of the things that is really striking about Operator is that it's not just another AI chatbot, right?
Oh, yeah, correct.
We've got a lot of those out there. This is actually designed to use a web browser, much like a human would to accomplish tasks.
Oh, wow. So you're saying instead of just asking a chatbot a question, I can have an AI that's actually navigating websites, clicking buttons, even filling out forms for me.
Precisely. Think of those, I don't know about you, but I think of all those tedious online tasks that we all do every day. Ordering groceries, booking appointments, or even just navigating really complex websites. Operator aims to automate a lot of those things.
That definitely sounds appealing. I mean, just from a convenience standpoint. But how does it actually work? I mean, it seems like a pretty complex thing for an AI to be able to do.
Yeah, so at the core of Operator is a new AI model from OpenAI, and they're calling it Computer Using Agent, or CUA for short. And you can almost imagine it like a digital detective, right? It can not only see the visual elements of a website, but it can understand the relationship between those elements and actually make decisions based on that understanding.
So it's not just blindly clicking around, you're saying.
Yeah.
It's actually trying to make sense of what it's seeing and then taking actions based on that.
Exactly. And one of the really remarkable things about Operator is this ability to self-correct. So if it encounters a problem, it can try to figure out a solution on its own,
Wow. So it's not just following a set of pre-programmed instructions. There's an element of problem solving and adaptability built in.
Right. And, if it gets completely stuck, it can actually ask the user for help, right?
Yeah.
And so it becomes kind of a collaborative experience.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But, I have to ask about, I guess, the elephant in the room here, which is safety and privacy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, giving an AI that much access to our online activity, that naturally raises some red flags for a lot of people, I'm sure.
Absolutely right to be concerned. And, that's why OpenAI has implemented multiple layers of safeguards. And so one of those is something they're calling takeover mode. So if Operator needs sensitive information, like, your login credentials or your payment details, it'll actually ask you to take over and handle that part yourself.
Oh, okay. That's good to hear. So it's not going to be secretly snooping around in my bank account, for example.
No, it's really designed to prioritize user control. And it also requires user confirmation before taking any kind of significant actions, like placing an order or sending an email.
Okay. That does make me feel a bit more comfortable. It sounds like they've really given some serious thought to the potential risks here.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic. I mean, no system is perfect. Are there any limitations to what Operator can do right now?
Of course. Of course. It's important to remember that it's still under development. It's currently available as a research preview for pro users in the US. And, OpenAI is very transparent about the fact that it has limitations. It might struggle with more complex interfaces like trying to create a slideshow presentation or managing a calendar.
So while it can handle some pretty impressive tasks, it's not quite ready to replace a human assistant altogether.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that this is just the beginning, right? OpenAI has big plans for Operator's future.
So where do they go from here? What's next on the roadmap for Operator?
Well, they plan to make the CUA model available to developers through an API. And that could lead to, who knows, a whole wave of new creative applications we haven't even thought of yet. And they also want to enhance Operator's capabilities so it can handle more complex tasks and expand access to more users as well.
That sounds like it could have a pretty significant impact on how we all interact with the web. I'm really curious to see how this technology evolves.
I think we all are. And that brings us to the bigger picture, right? What does the emergence of tools like Operator really mean?
Yeah, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the potential impact of Operator, not just on individuals, but on businesses and society as a whole.
What's so fascinating is that this isn't just about, personal convenience. Think about the implications for businesses.
Okay, yeah. How could businesses take advantage of something like Operator?
So imagine like a world where customer service interactions are primarily handled by these AI agents like Operator, right? They could answer frequently asked questions. They could process orders. They could even offer, personalized product recommendations. It could really streamline operations and, potentially reduce costs for businesses.
That's a pretty compelling use case. But I also wonder about the potential impact on jobs, right? I mean, could this lead to job displacement, if we see widespread adoption of this kind of technology?
Yeah, and that's a valid concern, right? And it's a really important question to consider. While it's possible that some jobs may indeed be automated, history kind of shows us that technological disruption often leads to a shift in the job market, not a complete takeover, right?
Right.
New opportunities are likely to emerge as well.
So it's not a simple equation of AI taking over human jobs. It's more nuanced and complex than that.
Exactly. Think about like the introduction of ATMs, right?
Yeah.
People were afraid that bank tellers would become obsolete, but that really didn't happen. Their roles evolved. They started focusing more on customer service and these complex financial transactions that required a human touch.
So we could see a similar shift with the rise of AI agents like Operator?
Yeah.
Jobs might just adapt.
Precisely. It's also important to remember that Operator is still a tool. It requires human oversight, right?
Yeah.
Human direction. It's not a self-aware entity making, independent decisions. Humans will still play a vital role, defining its tasks, monitoring its performance, and making sure that it's used ethically.
That makes sense. That's a good reminder that we're still in control. We're in the driver's seat. This isn't some unstoppable force that's dictating the future.
Right. And the potential applications go beyond just the private sector. Think about the public sector, right? Think about the challenges of providing efficient and accessible services to citizens.
Yeah, how could Operator be used in a government setting?
Well, OpenAI has actually been exploring this with organizations like the city of Stockton, believe it or not. Imagine using Operator to help people navigate complex government websites or to apply for programs or even report issues to their local government.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, instead of like spending hours on hold or, trying to decipher these confusing online forms, you could have this AI agent guiding you through the process.
I mean, that could be a game changer.
Yeah.
Especially for people who aren't as tech savvy or have limited time.
Exactly right. It could make government services more accessible and user-friendly.
Yeah.
Particularly for vulnerable populations or people who face language barriers, right?
This is all very thought-provoking. It really seems like we're at this pivotal moment with this technology.
Right.
I mean, it could be incredibly beneficial, but we also need to be mindful of the potential downsides.
Absolutely. It's crucial to have these open and honest conversations about the implications of AI, as it becomes more integrated into our lives. How do we mitigate the risks while maximizing the benefits, right? For individuals, for businesses, for society as a whole.
We've covered a lot of ground here today, from the technical side of Operator to the potential impact on, all these different sectors. But before we wrap things up, I'd love to get your take on the bigger picture, I guess. What excites you the most about the future of AI and what concerns you the most?
Yeah, I think what excites me is the potential for AI to help us solve some of the world's most pressing problems, right? Whether it's improving healthcare, addressing climate change, or creating a more equitable and just society. The possibilities are truly vast. But at the same time, I think what concerns me most is the potential for misuse, right? For unintended consequences.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we need to approach this with a sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
And caution. We have to ensure that it's used for good and that the benefits are shared widely.
Yeah, I completely agree. This isn't just about technological advancement, right? It's about using technology to create a better future for everyone.
Well said. So as Operator and other AI tools continue to evolve, what can our listeners do to stay informed and stay on top of this and engage in these important conversations?
Yeah, I encourage everyone to just stay curious, do their own research, participate in discussions about the ethical implications of AI. There are tons of resources available online. And, organizations like OpenAI are really promoting this transparency and public engagement.
That's great advice. I mean, this is something that deserves our attention. It's not something we can just leave to the experts.
Right.
Or policymakers. We all have a role to play here.
Absolutely. And with that, I think we've provided a pretty comprehensive deep dive into Operator and its potential impact.
Yeah. We've explored its capabilities, its limitations, its potential benefits, and the ethical questions. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, it has.
Now, before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. Imagine for a moment that you have access to Operator. What would you want it to do for you? How do you think it could change your daily life, or maybe even your work?
That's a great question to ponder.
Yeah, take some time to reflect on that. Maybe share your thoughts with us. The future of AI is unfolding right now. And it's a pretty exciting time to be a part of this conversation. So stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It really feels like we're at the beginning of a whole new era.
Yeah, the potential is there, but also a lot of, big questions.
Exactly. And that's where the real work begins, right? I mean, it's not enough to just develop these technologies. We have to figure out how to use them responsibly.
Ethically,
100%.
100%. And it has to be an ongoing conversation. I mean, as AI continues to evolve, our understanding of, all of the implications is going to evolve too.
Right.
So we need to be ready to, adapt and change course if we need to.
Yeah, and that's a good reminder that we're not just, sitting back and watching this happen.
All right.
We all have a role to play in shaping how this all unfolds.
Absolutely. That's what makes this such a, fascinating time to be alive. We're not just, witnessing history, we're actually creating it.
I like that. Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Operator and I guess the whole, world of AI,
Sure.
I want to leave our listeners with a challenge.
A challenge.
Yeah, a challenge to go beyond simply understanding the tech.
Okay.
Think about it, think critically about the implications, talk about it,
Yeah.
engage in those conversations about ethical use.
Yeah.
And how AI might be used to make things better,
Right.
for everybody.
Yeah, I love that. It's not just about learning about AI, it's about actively, shaping it.
Exactly. So to all of our listeners out there, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Hopefully you found it, insightful, maybe got you thinking a little bit, and maybe even a bit inspiring.
And remember that, the future of AI, it's not already written. It's up to all of us to write it.
Stay curious out there, stay informed, and stay engaged. And until next time.